Hey all, welcome to the blending mode class at Hummy's World, and this lesson is on the darker color blending mode. This is the last one in our set of darker blending modes, and actually this for me is the most difficult one, so you're going to really have to challenge yourself, work outside the box. uh, just keep playing until something goes wow, because I promise you it'll look cool when you hit that moment and you'll go, okay, I got to share this one. Um, so that's what I had to do. The darker color blending mode is similar to the darken. Darker, darken, changed one letter, added the word color. It's similar to the darken in that it works on all channels instead of working on a per channel basis. When we're talking about channels, I'm just going to do a very brief in one little spot. I don't think we need to understand all of this per se, because most of this is just playing and having a general understanding. But if I bring up the hue and saturation and I click this drop down, you're going to see the red channel, the yellow, green, cyans, blues, magentas. Each of these is a channel. So somehow the darken works on a per channel basis, and the dark or color works on an all channel basis. Now I put a little note down here to help us remember. The darken compares the upper to the lower and uses the darker pixel to display. So it's going to be doing a similar thing with the darker color, only it's going to be working on all of the color channels, not just per channel. Let's just look at what it did. Here is our graph that we've been working with in all of the lessons. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the darken, and this is what it did. And change it to darker color, you're going to see it didn't change much at all. It just changed right here. I don't know, it won't let me zoom for some reason unless I hit the save. But let's go back. Here's darker color. Let's look at darken and darker color. See, it just backed it off a little bit. There was just a little bit more of it that was no change. But as you can see, most of it makes no change to the layers. And that I found is really wonky. It makes it really difficult. Let's just go look and you'll see kind of what it does. So here's my final layout. It took me a long time to come to this. I kind of let me show you kind of where I started. I had this photo here, which I thought was really cool, and I had my quote, which I had. That's not a very good one, which I had, spaced out differently for this photo. But when I put the texture on it and changed it to the darken blending mode, look at how it did. It was really, actually, I have this down here at 68%. It really was selective in only showing in bulk in like the brighter areas of my photo. No matter what texture I used, some of them, the textures only showed up here in these really light areas, like there'd be just a few spaces here. And it was very difficult and looked funky, and I couldn't do anything with that. So I thought to myself, I'm playing and I'm pulling in images and I'm like, what's going to work better? And I thought to myself, well, I'm going to need an image that doesn't have all this white, bright stuff, that's maybe all more darker, because wherever it is lighter in the channel. You'll remember over here, all this stuff is lighter. It's not making any change. So that's what, well, actually that's a little different. It was making change because the paper was darker than the underneath. I just said to myself, I need something a little bit more neutral. You know, I'm just trying to analyze this and figure it out. It's just doing funky stuff. And so I found this photo, and I thought, well, it's a bit more neutral across the whole thing, not a whole lot of really brights, and maybe it'll work on this. And sure enough, it did work a little bit better on this. Here is the texture we're working with, and it's actually pretty yummy. And I bet you it would work great with some of the other blending modes. Let's see what it does with even linear burn. Ooh, multiply. Ah, there. Looks nice with that one. You see where the white edges create an edge around the outside. I love when there's edging, and it looks like there's a whole lot of like little dots everywhere. But it looks like this, and there's actually a couple feathers in here, and I guess there is some dots in there, and there's a nice little edge around it. So here's what it did when it went into the darker, and I thought, well, that's kind of cool. It even looks a little bit like military camouflage. That's where I'm going. It looked really military, and then that kind of went along with my title that I have of Life Cannot Be Undone, but we can understand it, learn from it, and change. And so I might have to change that text a little bit. Let me see. Drop shadow. I have played so much with this. I thought that was pretty cool, but I guess not. You know what I'm going to have to do is maybe put that above. Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. I thought it was pretty cool with that below it. It was given the blending and making this text, you know, pretty cool. This black or this gray and white kind of textured text. But I guess if I'm going to read my text, I'm going to have to put this above it. And so anyway, I'm going to lower the opacity on my text a little bit. It's kind of overpowering. There we go. I have a new finished project. But in my playing, I'm going to turn off this text, and you can see just something subtle underneath. And now you can't do this as well in the Photoshop Elements as you can Photoshop. But let me show you what I did, because originally I had black text, and I was thinking, well, that's just too dark. But what could I do with it? And I was playing with the drop shadows, and I actually added a stroke. And I changed the blending mode on the stroke to darker color. Now watch what happens when I change the color. When I go all white, when I go all dark, as I'm changing this, look at there, I reach this level, and then it starts blending in better. Some of it blended in and left it grungy, and some of it, you know, picked up some of it picked up the green from the stroke, and some of it picked up the gray from the layer it was blending with, the texture layer. And so as I clicked around, I just found, see down here, it didn't look good, here didn't look good, up here it disappeared, and then right in here in the middle somewhere it gave me this kind of cool, it enhanced the the grunginess. So see, when I take it off and then I put it back on, you can see kind of the difference that it made. I thought it made. So, and then I added the top text to make it readable and make it not so dark. But I thought it kind of worked, kind of more as this is a, did I tell you what this was? This is a photo we took in Hawaii. I was in the airplane and I took a picture of the shadow of the helicopter we were riding in down on the ground. And so I thought it fit with the text, of life flying by us, and once it flies by, it can't be undone. But we can understand it, learn from it, and change. And then, of course, the kind of the camouflage makes you think of, learning things from battles and not just war, but battles of life. And I just pulled all that out of there. And that's what I saw in it. Now I thought, well, that looks kind of cool. And it popped, and I said, let's go with it. So I'm going to give you this challenge. This is probably one of the hardest blending modes. You have to use the paper I give you. And you can use lots of other techniques as we've been showing you, where you can, I lowered the opacity on mine. Actually, I had it at 68 if I remember. Yeah, that looks much better. Maybe that's why my text, I should have left it where I had it. Maybe that's why my text was not as readable. Yeah, I'm going to leave it up here. And see, you got to play. You got to have fun playing. And I've been playing with this one a very long time. But you can see where it's white on the edges of the texture. Where it's white on the edges of the texture, it just didn't make any change and made it kind of like a natural border around it. Kind of cool. So I look forward to seeing what you do. Just everybody use the same paper. You can do all these other techniques with your blending modes and things like that. And with your other layer adjustments, but I look forward to seeing what you do, and don't give up on me because more fun blending modes are on their way. Bye all.